Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do what I read in July, and these are the books that I read in July prior to the Booktubeathon. And I'll do a separate video for those books. It will be going on when this video goes up. The first book I read was The Unseen World by Liz Moore. This book is a book about a young girl. She's approximately 13, 14 years old, who lives with her father. He is a scientist and kind of has a past that you don't know about. He's in the early stages of Alzheimer's disease, and you see how it affects her childhood as well as her adult years, and it does take you through her adult years. This was a really, really good book. I gave it 4 stars. I do recommend it. It's been on YouTube. It's been on BookTube quite a bit, so you might have already heard it or read it, but I do recommend this one. Really, really good. The next book I read was Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. This is a nonfiction book about the Osage murders that happened around the 1920 time frame in Oklahoma. It is about the Osage Native Americans. They were Plains Native Americans, and they traveled pretty much and hunted buffalo. They were moved to Oklahoma on land that was very rocky and hilly, and were told that they should farm and were taught how to farm, although it wasn't very good land. But what they did find out was the land that they were settled upon was oil rich, which Oklahoma is known for. So what the what the Osage would do would sell the rights to drill on their land to the oil companies, and it was a lot of money for that time. What people were doing is killing these people that owned the rights to the land, and because they were Native American, the white government, sheriffs, police kind of people really did nothing about it. So the FBI was called in. It was just formed by J. Edgar Hoover, and it talks about that. But this story was so eye-opening for me because I was raised in Oklahoma. I went through Oklahoma history, and of course this type of story was never told in Oklahoma history. It's very whitewashed, as you might imagine. So I really found it disheartening. I found it very emotional. It was done very, very well, and just pretty much told the truth about the corruption that was going on at that time. I gave the book 5 stars. It was a difficult read, but I think it was a very important book to be written. The next book I read was an ebook called The Delightfully Twisted Tales, Close Encounters of the Weird Kind by Nicky Drayden. And this book, I believe, is only sold as an ebook. These are a collection of short stories that were in a science magazine that she wrote for. And they are all science fiction. They are all about alien type races. They are some of the weirdest stories I've ever read in my life. And one of the reasons that I read it was because she has just published a novel and was going to be at a book signing in Austin that I was going to. So I wanted to see some of her work because I do like science fiction, so I wanted to read it. It was the strangest science fiction, as I said, that I've ever read. It was funny, it's shocking, and it was, I gotta say, really, really different than anything I've ever read. But I enjoyed it, so I gave the book 4 stars. All the short stories were different, and she has a gift for creating an entire world and maybe an entire species in just a few pages. So I thought it was really good, and I'm anxious to read her new book as well. And I can't remember what it's called, so I'll link it below and tell you what it is. The next book I read was Goodbye Vitamin by Rachel Khong. This is another book about a family dealing with the early stages of Alzheimer's. The main character, Ruth, who is also the narrator of this story, is asked to come home to help take care of her father. Her mother has kind of changed her personality somewhat, and you find out the reason why. She's not the same domestic kind of mom that she was used to. And the book deals more with other things that are happening within the family rather than just dealing with Alzheimer's. It's written as more of journal entries. It's pretty funny. It's quite clever. I thought it was very believable. You almost felt like you're reading her memoir. I do recommend this book, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. And the last book I read was A Long Way Too Small, An Angry Planet by Becky. When I had this on my TBR video, I had the synopsis all wrong, but this is really about a group of people that are on a spaceship that bores holes into space so that you can get from one place to another. And they're on their way to a angry planet. But this book is more about characters, and it's about relationships, and it really could have been any group of people that are from different backgrounds that get together. And it's about how they build a team, and I really like that the main story is about their characters and their relationships rather than space and science fiction, if you will. I thought this was a wonderful book. There is a second book called A Closed and Common Orbit, I believe. I'll link that in the description below to get that right. And I will be reading that one. I do recommend this book. I will caution you, you might be like me and it took a while to get into because of all the characters and trying to get their backgrounds and just descriptions of how they look and things like that. But I thought it was a really, really good book, and I will read this second one. So that's all the books that I've read so far in July. I will do a wrap-up of my booktubeathon, though I am working that whole week and I have company coming on the weekend, so I don't know how many books I'll read. I'll be lucky to probably get one done, but I'm going to try. It's just fun to challenge yourself to read like that. So let me know what you read in July. If you read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them as well. I'd really appreciate it. And I will talk to you later. Bye.